with Hanwha Live getting the win, and then they got kind of run over by a certain fishy boy in the mid lane.
Yep.
Who did really have a shocking level of performance, as DK said, okay, everyone else was right.
We got the message. I knew we forgot something. I knew we forgot something in the band.
I am completely fine with Oner getting a POG, but if it wasn't him or Faker, I would have been very upset. Faker shockwaves and his team fighting was good. He was early on a lot of roams as well, but Diana not really having enough threat in the mid 1v1, meaning that Faker was always early to the place. Think back to a lot of those bot side skirmishes. Some of the execution from Kalin, not necessarily great, but it was also because Faker showed up in time. So makes complete sense. As I actually really like this from DK, where they just go, okay, so these are the champions you played in game 1. We're going to fully pivot and try to ban it out. So at least you're playing something different.
Yeah, and they also have the flexibility, right? They have first pick advantage. And so they should be able to take away things like Kalista, Senna, whatever's left up and available.
You ban Senna here? Okay, I'm kind of... Because I wouldn't mind them banning Senna on blue side just because I feel like neither Kalin nor aiming, in my mind, really benefits as much from it, but you can't leave it open. You have to pick it.
I mean, aiming does have a victory on it. They did manage to take a win with a Senna composition in...
They can, but it's...
Yeah,
it doesn't make me enthusiastic.
No, it's not one of those big ones. It's okay. The Tahm Kench going to be taken away here. An interesting ban.
They still have to pick it here. I think the problem is that Guma, even with Keria having a pretty important game number 1, Guma's Senna is I think one of the best parts of that duo, which is crazy because normally we talk about and if Keria is in form, we talk about it being specifically his farming champions. And they're going to go that, and to be fair, Senna with not Nautilus or Kench has looked worse, but this is a big, big gambit here from DK.
And the Azir coming through as well. Certainly the second rung for Faker. Looking forward to seeing how he's going to perform on this one. Also looking forward to seeing what DK are going to put together alongside this Nautilus.
Zeri?
Nautilus Zeri could come on through. We could also see something locked in for Lucid and Showmaker if they wanted to. But the Zeri, I think, is something that aiming always wants to play.
Do you just go Zeri like Asol? Zeri Kassadin? I imagine you wait with picking a mid laner until we get to much later in the draft. I imagine you want to pick up Lee. I don't think Lucid looked that great on the Lee, to be fair. Not really his normal level of performance.
Just do it, Showmaker. One day, as the K'Sante will be the lock-in here for Kingen. Not exactly his best, but has looked better on it in the playoffs. Providing some frontline there as well as Sejuani. I mean, not a lot of jungle bans did come through here. It was just the Vi. So pick of the litter here for Oner if he would like to. Sejuani currently being hovered. And a lot of pairings up and available. Still will lock it in.
Might also be bot lane Sejuani.
True.
Which I don't think is likely, but I wouldn't put it past T1 to...
And then they lock Poppy on 4 and you're like, could also be bot lane Poppy?
Yeah.
You know? I'd love to see it.
And then you know nothing. Talia gonna get taken away. With Senna, Sejuani, and Azir, I actually do think you ban Kassadin. I know that he's basically a black hole, you know, until level 11 in the mid lane. He doesn't do a whole lot. Asol is another consideration that I wouldn't mind.
Showmaker definitely with a lot of champions that he could theoretically play. We're not entirely sure what it is going to be yet. I mean, maybe T1 locks in Gnar for some reason, and then Showmaker can go for another Silas angle. Not exactly the easiest lane in.
Oh yeah, of course, Gnar bot.
Yeah.
Yes. Support.
I mean, Gnar could probably be top lane.
Well, I know, but I was...
Oh, right, yes. Could also be Gnar Senna.
I was leaning to the Senna lane.
But haven't they already locked in Senna Azir for the bottom lane?
They're gonna
what are you talking about?
Yes. And they do actually ban the Gnar!
It's just going to be banned.
I'm going to give that one over. Say it's an exceptional Gnar. Okay, so we actually were right!
Yeah.
Xin Zhao's locked in again.
So it's Xin Zhao bot lane.
Is it Jack's jungle?
I mean, it was obviously Xin Zhao bot lane.
Like it's not Xin Zhao bot lane. Atlas.
Yeah, it's got to be. Nothing else could be.
Oh, is it like Ari?
Oh.
Ari or Syndra probably. If you are going to go for the Viego here, this is really going all in on the idea of in mid game we will hard 5v5 and either Luce is getting resets and aiming is getting fed, or it becomes quite tough. I think the Viego Doesn't really match up in terms of 1v1 and early game to the Xin Zhao, but something like a Syndra into Xin also can feel a little bit rough. That though, into the composition of T1, that's a whole lot of value. And the amount of 100 to 0 potential for DK just skyrocketed.
And Veigar, Viego, they both have very similar sounding names, so obviously the mid-jungle synergy is going to be at an all-time high.
Good, yes.
What? That's just Vayne, okay. All right, Zeus.
The king is like, oh god, no! No, 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 not in pro play too.
I was gonna say, like, that is a gambit that T1 are taking. You could see Koma's face. He was like, he didn't just let that in, did he?
Zeus, there was a lot of chatter about Zeus embracing his Deshai arc. He's one top lane Kalista away from truly becoming him, because this, like, in isolation, this is incredible. But trying to play Vayne into Veigar and Nautilus does not seem like a great time.
No, I would imagine that could be a tough one. It does mean that they do have a just regular 80 carry, I guess, albeit a little bit short range. The center doesn't come online until quite late, though. And so at least in the mid game, they will have that form of consistent damage, especially against tanks. So let's see how Zeus is going to do. Once again, it's just the crazy drafts. These drafts are kind of nutty.
I'm having a great time, Atlas. This
me
is very
too.
fun.
Looking forward to seeing how Aiming's going to do. I think that he's going to be a lot more comfortable on the Zeri this time around, especially with the fact that he now has a dash and he can use it to get over very long walls, and that is going to be very helpful for if the Vayne starts tumbling after him. That being said, no, it won't, because Condemn kind of ruins you if you're inside a wall. That's a rough time. Oh man, I cannot wait. Let's jump into the Rift for game number 2 of D+ Gear versus T1. All right, here we are with the drafts that occurred. These are the ones, you're looking at them right now. We've got Sejuani support. For the first time in quite a while, is of course a champion that has been used in support in the past.
Are we gonna like straight up flash over the wall?
Well, Kingen is gonna spot Zeus here, and oh man.
Yeah, I'm like...
yeah, I was a little bit worried, but no. He's not
there isn't realistically a way that works out, but...
yeah, Keria is going to look to try and get a flash out of Showmaker, and he may actually have to use it here. Oh, holds onto it. Even gets a Baleful Strike for a stack or two.
Hey, and he has Spellbook, so he just TP's back, and he's fine. Doesn't care. So Aiming not quite able to get the ward there.
Yeah, might even be able to get an extra... No, he won't. So Faker will have a bit of lane control here, and the teleport already down for Showmaker.
This is really big, though, because of the fact that most people of T1 show towards the bot side of the map, and they spotted Zeus towards the top half as well. There is now an opportunity for Lucid to go for an invade, and this won't get spotted anytime soon. For old T1, though, he's just starting top side and then pathing towards his bot lane, which, with Nautilus, definitely not something that should truly shock you. And that also means that Zeus might get caught off guard by the possibility of a gank with red buff from this level 3 Viego, as you might, you know, guess, Kingen is living every top laner's worst nightmare. You're a tank in a 1v1 matchup against the top lane.
Yeah, it is just the worst thing ever. It has been...
Wait!
Yeah, it was Keria that played it last against Kellen on his Yuumi. Crazy. Actually, no, I remember this. This was the tech. It was the Yasuo Sejuani bottom lane.
The gank.
As here it is. Okay, Zeus is already ghosted. Let's see. Charging up the stun. Not going to find a good flash from Zeus, but Lucid probably typed in worse because that is both summoner spells now down.
For sure. Oh, he's faking. He still has flash. Ghost is timed out.
Oh,
okay, doesn't end up going for it. A little bit of tension there. And now also you see, as soon as they spot him, T1 know that the bot side jungle is being taken. Kellen and Aiming, they do have prio, so they are going to ensure that all Oner was able to get was not even the big Raptor, just a little bit.
Yeah, Oner is in a bit of trouble here as well. Has to flash to avoid death.
Yeah, really well done there. The threat of the cage, enough. Now Oner is going to get spotted as well, and Lucid is already there waiting for him.
Yeah, Scry's Bloom will spot the Viego, but he's at full health. Oner has nothing to get here as that hook managing to go behind Keria there. Gumayusi taking a fair bit of damage. And the Aftershock getting a fair bit of value there as well for Keria alongside his Frost Armor. Oner moving here towards his top side. A little bit of happy feeding. There's not a lot for him to pick up. So Viego will be able to jump on top of this Rift Scuttler. Takes that one down. Meanwhile, more fighting here towards the bottom side as Permafrost is going to be utilized. Oner now fighting Lucid, but this is a dangerous one. Zeus moves on down as Lucid needs to be so careful. Is Oner going to go down? No, he's not! The Bloom off getting aggressive, but there is Showmaker. He doesn't have Flash though, remember, so he's likely to fall down. It's a fantastic cage! As Zeus, he gets knocked into the sky and Showmaker's trying to walk it off. Faker flashing after him. Now Kingen chasing down the Emperor. Does manage to get the slow hit, and he finds it. He has the red buff here as well as Faker trying to get out of the way. That Q just not finding the mark as Faker just shifts the sands over the wall.
One auto from Lucid, and that play goes a whole nother way, but it's Zeus who, with his prio towards the top side, actually able to make the roam work. Bit of an overstep, and Lucid feels confident because he does have his red buff as opposed to Oner. Would have won the 1v1, but that's not the problem. Doesn't actually get it, tries to look for the condemn there, even without actually getting him into the wall. Ends up being enough to keep him out, and then this play, if they don't knock him into the wall there, this is a disaster. And Faker also gets stunned, so that cage from Showmaker turns this from a disaster into a 2v2. Kill for Veigar, kill for King, and I do think his wave state was very bad last time we left, so hopefully they'll be able to deal with that at least a little bit.
I mean, I think that having these skirmishes, though, that Showmaker is able to build some extra stacks in, it's going to feel pretty good trying to accelerate his AP growth.
I also wonder what build Showmaker is going to go. So there is the Shirelia's tech for the Veigar if you're playing into matchups that do outrange you, where you're Veigar, so like you're going to get plenty of AP. You can go Shirelia's into Death Cap and be completely fine. And the active actually is really, really valuable.
Sort of like Dead Man's Plate, but you actually have AP on the item?
Yeah, you have AP on it, you have ability haste on it, and it is 2,200 gold.
Oh, that feels real.
Remember old Frozen Heart? It's kind of like that, where it's... we'll see what he ends up going. I feel like Rod of Ages isn't really a necessity in this one. Imagine Archangels is at some point going to get picked up, as we do have Drake.
Yeah, possible fight for this one, as there is full information over here.
On the go!
Yeah, Showmaker trying to clear out vision, but I don't think he's going to be able to make anything happen. No flash available, as Oner will take a little bit of poke, but otherwise not too much to worry about. As Kellen finds himself on the wrong side of this wall, skate over there from aiming. Keria will back away as the hook goes wide. That is going to mean that Lucid not going to be able to get anything done.
Good call from DK. I think you're right on with the Viego ultimate. Adds so much playmaking potential, adds so much extra threat of execution. Not having that available here for Lucid means you lack a lot of power. Same for Zeri, honestly. Like, the amount of level 6 spike that you get as DK is pretty ludicrous. Not going to be the case. This does mean, though, the moment that Lucid shows anywhere on the map, and in this case he doesn't really get a whole lot done, Kingen takes another like 5 silver bolt procs, and his happiness just keeps taking a nosedive, Atlas. And it's not his fault.
No, it's just the way of things, the way of the top lane. Kingen, pretty good at taking a pummeling in quite a few of these matchups. He has just taken the L, had to blind pick something, and so pretty used to it as a player. See whether he's going to be able to weather the storm as Zerkus Greaves picked up here for Zeus. Faker just standing inside the cage, and he's just going to be fine. And we can see pings out. Kellen moving on forward. Showmaker just trying to block as the Emperor's Divide does come down. He gets over the wall. The flash hook is going to ring true here for Kellen, and the cage is going to come out as well. Faker, not long for the world, and Lucid will pick up that kill.
Actually going to give the kill over to the Viego here. Showmaker already picked one up early, and on snowballing champions like Viego, these kills can...
They're all about sharing, Lucid and
Showmaker. They really are. Going to be an early kill going over. Lucid doesn't even have his ultimate available. He's going to be able to pick up some grubs. He's going to not be the best of trades, as obviously you'd rather have an early Infernal Drake, but still, you'll take what you can get. Should be able to hit 6 off of that, and really nicely done there, playing around the vision. There was Kellen, who already looking great on this Nautilus.
Yeah, looking much better than the last game. The Nico,
Yeah.
not exactly his forte, but we've seen Kellen have up and down performances. The Emperor's Divide had to be used just to get Showmaker out of the way. Almost makes it away, but not quite.
Yeah, I was actually wondering, because if he gets out there, then it probably would have been worth for Lucid to flash and cancel, as we do have Flash and Ghost, thank you observers, being used. Keria did throw out an ultimate. I don't know if aiming was rooted beforehand, but that's going to be no stuns on the Zeri.
Yep, I can see the health bar. Looks like he may not have actually been hit by it because he was able to flash away. That's what I would
imagine.
Surmise. But of course, that is pure detective work and speculation.
I'm down for an episode of the LCK where we never actually see the game, we just see the scoreboard. And then we
just see replays, like half the replays.
Only half the replay, and then we have to puzzle
and then we come back
it's
to
a deduction
select
puzzle.
moments. Yeah, exactly.
And we go all Sherlock, where like, actually, hear me out.
Yeah.
Because, yeah.
As you'll see, this flash was used, but the cooldown is quite long, so that must have been a little bit earlier on. That would actually be a bit of fun. Maybe we should do that on Fox Day. We'll pitch it. We'll pitch it to these.
I think it's great.
With it.
And you know, everything that we think of in the moment in the cast generally holds
Oh
up.
yeah, absolutely.
Stands the test of time.
It really does hold water, 100%. Gold, 100% even. There is no real advantage for anyone. We do have the Bub going over to Oner here as well, so we're going to equalize that one. Nice little condemn there as Kingen was trying to play the games. There's like, silly boy.
You don't get to play the game. Yes, Ghost and Flash available now as well. The main thing that I do worry about for T1 is just the existence of Veigar. Because Veigar shuts out so much of the playmaking that normally you'd have, and they are outside of specifically Faker, who even Faker for his highest impact plays has to go in, which is why we see the Veigar picks a lot into his ear. Like, everyone gets completely boomed by one of the best basic abilities in the game. Showmaker did already put a second point in his W. I do really hope that we're going to see, you know, like, I think a point or two is fine, but I think you really want to try and get your max points in E as soon as possible. As thank you for the stat check.
Lucid trying to clear out the vision here. Not wanting Zeus to feel too safe up here on the top side, as Kellen will find Oner. But I'm not sure whether you really want to be here, as Aftershock does now go down. Still with Viego in the midst, it is maybe the man advantage.
Yeah, the big problem with this is that you leave a turret completely undefended. Yeah. So they were trying to set up a dive there on Zeus, which would have worked if you have the level 6 Nautilus there, but instead Oner is still there. Oner has done so much in these two games by just existing in places. Yeah. Like, genuinely, him being there is what is going to cost DK 2 plates, and the topside play doesn't even end up working out. He's just be there.
His existing skills, second to none. You're absolutely right. Now does have his first item. Feeling pretty good about that. As T1 continuing to press down on this bottom side, Kellen finally lumbers his way back down. We'll be able to sweep out the vision. So Gumayusi Keria relatively untouched, and as you can see, Keria very, very close on farm in comparison to this Zeri. Has been sitting here by herself for a large amount of time. So far working out very, very well as far as the center is concerned. DK, I always get a little bit worried here because oftentimes they do manage to build leads, but in this series, just the gold lead has not really moved.
Got it all
like
in, and TP advantage.
Yeah, let's see what they can get done here as the hook is going to connect, but it's onto Keria. The cage comes down as well, but it's not enough to stun him up. DK should be able to get themselves their first dragon as Kingen teleported in. There's the knock-up with the 3 Talon strike. Looks like he is going to be okay. There's a flash in from Kellen, but it finds nothing. And a cage also going to whiff. So DK unable to find the follow-up, and it was 4 versus 5.
I don't think that's worth, as we get another Chemtech Drake. Yeah. Statistically, this is just somewhat reasonable,
one could say.
This is, I don't know how many plates this is going to get, but it's the second time where DK, like this play, this is why they were trying to force so hard, is because they identify if we don't get any kill, we are bleeding plates on the other end of the map. Kingen is going to fall further behind in CS and experience because he's here right now. And T1, they made the raid call. Like, you know what? You have Kingen here. Peace out. Not going to be part of anything that you are going to try and do here. And just a Drake for like 2 free plates and losing a wave or two, it's not great.
Not quite working out. Kingen at least gets to be in a lane that Vayne isn't in. That must feel fantastic.
Oh, he's gonna be ecstatic. It's like, oh, Zier, Leandri's. It's fine.
Yeah,
it's okay.
Yeah,
it's no problem.
It's still terrible, but it's just not as terrible. So there you go. Aiming up here as well, he's going to be able to grab this plate. As now Keria by himself is going to get hooked up. As Lucid finding himself a stun as well. Aiming just wanting to maximize the amount of plates that he can pick up. As teleport in from T1. Dead. Kellen knows that he's really dead, and that is going to be a kill going over to Guma as well. And Faker, he wants even more. Good flash out there from Aiming. He's still going to have to vacate the area. There's a flash forward, the ulti. The Q didn't land. Therefore, Zeus will survive.
Showmaker really making the most of a spellbook there. The Ignite going down on the Vayne. Flash for flash trade. If you're a spellbook enjoyer, you're going to take that. Zeus not having flash also opens up some possible punish opportunities. And Kingen is just like, oh my god. Stuff is happening on the other end of the map. I get to catch a wave. Doesn't get the plate. Unfortunately, falls off just before. But yeah, there we see Lucid and Kellen made the great call not to actually go in on that. But it does also mean that once the TP comes through, still very, very far up. As Keria, he is tasty bait, but Showmaker is here. Banana brush control in favor of DK. Again, I think they want to look for these mid-game team fights. Try and get the Zeri to pop off. Try and get the Viego to really utilize those resets.
See Zeus going for a little bit of a back here. Kingen sticking towards this bottom lane, trying to make up that lost ground, and it's working out relatively well as Oner gets on top of Kellen, but his dredge line was already being buffered.
You're gonna have to give it up, and they need to be careful because there is a lot of engage. Keria has his ultimate available.
Yep.
This is just gonna be Herald. But first, Third Blood, probably gonna be able to go over here. Faker though, once he shows up.
Well, Lucid gonna make this one a 50-50. Let's see what can happen. It is gonna be the steal away as so much AoE damage coming down. The Dawning Shadow, massive value as Zeus has made his way into the fight. It's a 1-for-1 so far, but the Vayne is starting to pop off. Lucid gets over the wall, and now Showmaker left for dead. No flash because he used it earlier, and it's a double kill. Zeus now finally set up for some success.
All they were able to get was a Herald. I think got Keria as well, but Vayne getting more fed, I think, is kind of a disaster here.
Oh, yeah.
That Vayne inside is going to be a complete and utter nuisance for DK to deal with. As we take another look, this is the previous play. Good that they didn't fully commit, because that would have probably led to the death of all of them. But they do recognize we need to chunk them down. Teleport comes in. Didn't actually clear this. If you clear that ward, I think you might actually be fine. Try to cut some corners there. T1 punishes them. And then here, a lot of damage goes into Oner and Keria, which I think really is the big thing. They stay alive for a really long time because of the ultimate from Guma, and then by the time Zeus gets in, obviously beats Aiming. Lucid doesn't actually get the Q on top of him because of a Great Condemn, and then Showmaker doesn't have his cage available. Yeah. Used it earlier, ends up going down immediately.
Not going to be the opportunity for him. Aiming, getting a bit of damage down towards this top side. Trying to put that one bub to work. 65 stacks here for Gumayusi so far. Not the worst, not the greatest. And Aiming in this 1v1 probably just going to be feeling better than Kingen. There you go.
Vayne is really fed.
Yeah.
So I'd still be
having a bad time, but having a less bad time.
Oh, you're 100% right. Yeah, sorry, that's on me for not paying attention.
No, that's right.
He does have a less bad time.
Still going to leave. Still doesn't want to deal with it.
Still doesn't want to. Come on, Kingen. You get up there, bud.
Oh, do I have to?
Top laners, man. It looks like Showmaker is indeed going for the Shirelias here. We quite like that. Yeah. The active has a ton of value, and the item is really cheap, everyone.
Oh, there is a cage going down. Arctic Assault going to get Keria out of the way as D+.
You know what, Chemtech
all
Drake
grouped up.
With Viego and Cassandre, it's not bad.
Doesn't feel the worst. I just don't know whether it's going to be a soul that we're really going to be talking about, as there is the charge forward. The cage is going to be put down there as well. Fair bit of damage onto Oner and Keria, but once again, they're not the optimal target. Still, they do get what they came here for, and that is the outer turret here in the mid lane. Zeus also secured the top outer, and is able to move this minion wave towards the inner turret as well.
Got that
with
first.
a Mega Blast Cone. Does have the ability to get on over there.
He ghosted, and they decide to not do it. They're going to lose an inner. This is going to be a really rough trade. When it comes to gold, Showmaker doesn't have his TP just yet. Zeus is hiding in the fog of war, but as soon as Showmaker shows, he's going to keep on pushing. T1 are forcing DK to make a decision.
Yeah, and there's the flash forward. The cage is down there as well.
Done.
And he's just dead. Oner taken out. That is the pick you were looking for, but this is the problem. T1, is it going to be worth it for DK if this inner turret goes down? And I just don't know, because 700 gold going over to just Zeus, then the global gold as well.
To be fair, if you don't see Zeus, you lose the fight anyway, so who cares how fat he is? It's fine.
Yeah.
Is what DK is probably saying in comms right now. Is that true? We'll have to see how the game progresses. It's going to be the second Drake going over, but again, due to the early Drake from T1, no soul point, which is something that I think they would ideally really like to have.
Kingen able to push forward on this bottom side as well. We'll have a look at this pick once again. Callan has been pretty good finding these angles, pulls him right into the cage. Beautiful combo.
Amount of CC that's available, no Crescent Guard, opportunity there for Oner. And we have two ways of guaranteeing people, guaranteeing that people end up in the cage. You have Kingen, who can just slam him in, and then you have Showmaker, who now does have his Shurelias finished. Please go Death Cap. Please Death Cap third.
Wait for the Zhonya's. It's going to happen.
Oh, no. No, he won't. It's Showmaker. I actually trust him completely when it comes to builds.
Yeah, that's true. He's generally relatively good at it. Often just knows even better than we do. As T1 positioned in this mid lane. Not able to fight for that Drake, but another 4 minutes, and it's not even a soul. It is just soul point that they were fighting for, as Callan now finds himself in amongst two. Showmaker and Lucid a little bit too far away. I don't know whether they're going to be able to save him, but he gets a big old shield. Showmaker flashes away, and T1 are just going to jump down on top of him. He can't click the blast cone.
He's running.
It's a disaster. Meanwhile, the fight on the top side is also T1 favored. Faker takes down the Cassante. Lucid, I'm not sure about this one. He's trying to get his way out.
Oh, dead.
As Zeus is chasing after him. Vayne pretty good at chasing you down, as it turns out, as he tumbles forward, and is able to lock down that kill. And T1, they've got Baron in their eyes, and once again, it is just T1 finding themselves an absolutely ridiculous fight and having a huge advantage out of nowhere.
Callan starts off with the ultimate there on Zeus. That's how you want to start a fight, but it's not enough. Can they make a hero play? Showmaker does have Smite and TP.
Okay, let's see whether Showmaker can get something crazy
Aiming
done.
his ult. Oh, double TP.
He has done it before. This. Yeah, exactly.
They know. Yeah, they see it. They're like, no,
out. They're going to pick this one up. Okay, so it's going to have to be Showmaker's Smite that wins this one out. Keria does have teleport. He can make his way back in. This is Baron not going down anytime soon.
TP, Keria behind
looking for a little bit of an engage. As they're trying to block him off, they're going to see whether they can kill the Sejuani before this one is even a problem. But the all-out comes over the wall. It's absolutely fantastic. They take down Oner. But still, Faker's able to hunt down the Cassante. Showmaker once again trying to run from Zeus. He gets himself a big old shield, but he won't find the cage. And he's on 1 health. The flash forward from Guma is going to be what gets it done. And there is another team fight victory for T1 here. Lucid just showing up as the rest of his teammates take a dirt nap.
Lucid! It's an all or nothing, but I like this from T1. Don't even go for the Baron. There's no need. Don't need to risk it.
But Lucid could solo it. Chronicler?
He's not soloing anyway.
Yeah, I don't think that's happening. And so 5,000 gold is the advantage here for T1. Back-to-back team fights.
So I like the call to fight here in theory, but the way that it plays out is that you have a really... You don't really have a 5v5, you have isolated 2v2s and 3v3s. And these are the type of scenarios where Vayne, like look at Zeus go.
Yeah.
It's just running amok completely. This was a great initial, looked really good here from the entirety of DK, being able to stop them from taking this. And yes, they take down the Xin Zhao, but that's not the problem. Every single time, if you take down a target that isn't Zeus, guess what? You're not winning the fight.
Yep, and then Faker's there as well. Gumayusi's also there. And we're opting in for another fight. If at first you don't succeed, try again. And the second try, not great. Let's see whether the third one is going to work out. As you can see, T1, they're going to back on out.
Oh,
okay, we'll at least take some control of their side of the jungle.
Showmaker, that's a book. That's not...
Oh, dear.
I guess he might not have the money for a rod, but probably going to be Crypt Bloom. You do need the pen, but Rabadon's is so insanely strong.
Has 5,000 assists for Faker here. Big congratulations. LCK first. Probably don't even really need to write that one down, as Lahens is about 440 behind. Lucid lurking towards the top side. And T1 just wanting to get themselves a Baron and say goodnight to this game.
Well, they don't spot the backs. Could have been big.
Yeah, control ward does go down. So that will be cleared. Showmaker will continue to scale, but so will Gumayusi. So it is kind of nullified. And Faker just quietly sitting on 2, 1, and 3 this game, does have both of the items that do the big damages. He's also gone for the fleet footwork, not one to subscribe to the Grasp Vizier. Just wants to be safe in lane and then do as much damage as he possibly can later on. As aiming only has a couple of items completed, of course. It's been a pretty quiet Zeri game. Only died one time, but no real certifications, no Zeri moments. Hasn't really been able to book an appointment or anything like that, so can't actually get in there and grab that one. And
that's my boy.
Yeah, the rod is in. That's going to be a Sonya's so quickly.
Don't even joke about that. This is Zeus. Obviously, he has RFC, Stormrazor, and Triforce.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a very scary.
It's gone.
Yeah, and that is there is absolutely no contesting this one. It is just a second dragon for T1, and it's Chemtech, so probably not worth losing your life over.
I still don't think that DK are out of this game just because of the nature of how short range the composition is, and the fact that you have Veigar Zeri. Like, and a Viego, one bad play, one pick can just immediately turn the tide of the game. But so many of these fights from DK, I think even in the first game, just haven't looked that convincing as, oh, I don't know if they're going to be able to try and contest this. They're going to give it their all.
Yeah, teleport going to come on forward from the Cassante. They got what they wanted. Let's see whether T1 stick around for a fight. The beta cage not really doing too much here.
Keeping an aggro, but going to drop it after all.
Yeah.
Maybe an actual 5v5.
Piercing Darkness able to keep them very healthy in this fight as well as the Sand Soldiers go forward. That's another cage. Hook is going to come through. No one's stunned though. And there's the re-engage. Kellen's down so incredibly low. And there is the pick-off. Cassante trying to get some Cassante things done, but it does not work. It's another kill for the Vayne. I think that makes it 7 for Zeus on the top side of the map. DK, they still don't want to give this one up. As Lucid does get into the mist.
Fast.
Yeah, no, this is just absolutely
They can't
ridiculous.
cage him! Literally!
And the Baron is getting down lower and lower, aiming, just taking pot shots here from Zeus. He's just able to walk out of the way of the burst fire. The Baron just going to be destroyed. No way for DK to respond to it at all. And the empowered recalls will get them back home scot-free. Now that Rebel Baron power play is going to start ticking up.
DK, couple of mid-game fights going all right, the Vayne being monstrously fed, and we've been looking for an answer to Cassante, and it was staring us right in the face all along. Max health, true damage. Because here, it's Oner and Keria doing a great job on the front line. Look how fast King gets chewed through. This doesn't get to do any Cassanteing. And I think there the hesitation as well, because the health bars are still full. This is another really underrated part of the Senna, is the amount of sustain it gives you. It makes it so hard, especially if you are running a double front line, to actually chew through targets. And from this point on, Atlas, I think we're looking for a match point for T1 here.
It is looking very likely at this stage. 8,000 gold is the lead. And T1 are now bearing down on the base. They still have 2 minutes of this Baron buff. As that is a nice little flash hook from Kellen. Empress Divide is going to get Faker out of the way though. Still, they do manage to get the flash and the ulti, but they'll sacrifice an inhibitor turret for it.
He didn't have the ult. If he gets the ult Faker, then he might be able to kill him. The cage.
Yeah, cage does go down. They push them into it, but Kingen can't really tank them up. Glacial Prison comes down. Keria so incredibly tanky. Oner's going to be the first one to grab a kill in this fight. Another cage is going to work out as Lucid diving on board. He's got the Vayne, and Lucid's now trying to tumble his way to victory, but he'll be taken out as well. And I think DK are just that little bit too far behind. T1, they do lose their top laner. He has been a hero this game, but they have 4 left, and they have so much sustain with Gumayusi.
Not really going to matter. It seems like, as you point out, if this happened 15 minutes ago, would have been absolutely huge. But instead, the 2 inhibitors still end up going down.
And this is actually, it's reminding me of the drafting from T1 against Hama Life Esports, leaving up the center for round 2. Just doesn't feel like something that you're really allowed to do.
I can't even,
is so strong.
Can't even fault Kingen, right? Like, he has to be the front line. Someone has to go in.
I mean, they have to blind pick something.
And then this right here, we see the idea behind this, but The problem is that Lucid then becomes Vayne.
Yeah.
So he also just instantly dies because, as we point out, Vayne is the main source of damage. I've got a QSS now, by the way. But simultaneously, there's Zinzao, a Fed Senna, and an Azir that went full damage.
Yeah. And Faker's just kind of been the secondary focus from DK this whole game, or the third focus, perhaps, as Gumayusi is very squishy. And so Zeus is just distracting them this whole time while Faker's Sand Soldiers are tearing them to shreds. Just not a lot of good options here. Showmaker even went for the Shadow Flame. As that is not a death cap, guys. It's a mask, not a hat. Feels bad.
That's, yeah, I don't.
Is it a mask? What is it? It looks like a mask.
I don't even know what Shadow.
You can probably wear it as a mask.
Probably is a mask, but I don't. Yeah, wish it would have been death cap. As 100 stacks are for Guma. Guma is like the first most relevant character. You know, he's not the protagonist. He's not the buddy with the protagonist. He's like a guest character. He shows up every now and then. He has a perfect KDA. I'm sure this is just going to be another one of his infinite wins on Senna.
Yep. Certainly been stringing a lot of them together.
Oh, we got to get an absolutely monstrous cage. GA now done for Oner as well, though. It keeps getting harder and harder if they don't lock down Zeus.
And look at Zeus. He's able to just walk towards the side of them. Keep that distraction up. And while Zeus is alone as well, that cage, if it's going to be used on the Vayne, it's not going to be used on anyone else.
Yeah. On the plus side, DK are now getting 2 super waves, so they get to farm a lot.
Hey, there you go.
I haven't been glass half full yet.
Yeah, on the not so plus side, they don't get to farm any of their jungle or any of the dragons or have any vision around any of the barons or anything else.
Yeah, I know. Everyone could see that, Atlas. And we're trying to find new angles here.
Aha! You're right.
It's a 10k gold deficit. What do you want from me?
Look at these super. I just want you to be honest. It's doomed.
I know it's doomed. I don't want it to be a quick 2-0. Nothing to see here.
Oh, well, it is what's happening right now. Zeus finds his ward. He will be able to clear that one out. Looks like we're going to spend some of that money that's in the coffers.
The problem with this is, it's also, as you point out, like I think King and picking that Cassante wasn't really a problem. It was just how they played out a couple of the mid-game fights. But what do you do after this? Do you like ban Vayne? Like that's not.
Yeah.
There's.
Well, you pick Senna.
Well, yeah, obviously. But I feel like, I know this happens a lot with Senna games where she doesn't take over. I know that her sustain and a lot of what makes her good isn't necessarily the super obvious parts, but I still don't think that the Senna would have worked the way that it did if it wasn't.
What it lets T1 do is pick 2 really good junglers.
This is a very good point.
And so then Lucid has to play Viego.
I don't think Lucid's Viego. They could have just gone for...
Oh, that's very sneaky.
But he's still on a control ward, and their base is going to die.
Yeah, the base dying thing, that's a negative, as they don't even spot the control ward.
Well, now they do.
Behind enemy lines.
It's fine. Showmaker's got this.
Yeah, well, he does clear out waves very quickly. They don't have Baron anymore, so it's not too much of an issue.
All right, next one is Death Cap. That's actually going to be a stopwatch. And then we get Death Cap.
Yeah. Well, there's now a Baron on the map, and immediately T1 have been waiting for it. Going to kill this one on spawn. DK, I don't think they have any right to get over there and try and contest. So now the real final team fight is going to be upon us. DK, I guess they have a chance of potentially winning a fight, but they're going to have to do it as soon as possible to eliminate these Barons.
I know this is a farming support, but it's still... Kingen is also only 1 level up on Guma.
Yeah, he's...
okay, it's 2 levels now. It's fine.
Managed to make it to level 15. Woo! There you go. Oner taking a bit of damage there. Aiming is pretty farmed himself. He's level 16.
All right, we need to see some real Vagoring, some Cassante shenanigans, something to bring this game back. Otherwise, T1 about to bring in the match point with this Baron buff.
Well, Extendo Beam does no damage to these minions. You can see, okay, in goes Oner. Immediate cleanse from Showmaker. And yeah, that was just Oner going in. That's all that really gets them anything. And the inhibitors have just
not the triple inhib
as well. Kellen,
they know
wanting to find an angle, they spot him out. Mega Blast Cone is something that he can possibly use for a cheeky little angle, but it's not going to be before these inhibitors have all gone down. And Kellen's still just like trying to work out what he can do. The answer is nothing, as there's the explosion onto aiming the primary target, and he has to go back to the fountain. Kingan's also having to dash away. It's going to leave their whole base exposed to Zeus. He'll be taken out. But even with 4 members, look at all of these minions. They are just gigantic. Kellen's made it to the backline though. And Aiming's got his health back with the Nexus. It's so incredibly low, and there it goes. T1.